Welcome back to another episode of War in Cali. In this episode, I'm going to talk about the Temple Street Gang. Temple Street Gang get their name from a street in their area. It is said Temple Street started in the 1920s and is one of the oldest gangs in LA. Over the years, Temple Street started many different cliques. Outside of Hispanics claiming Temple Street, it would be many other races like Filipinos, which played a huge role in that gang. Filipino members would even start their own cliques and even would expand to different cities and states and even different countries. The Temple Streets are rivals to several gangs, with them having several cliques, and those cliques being in different areas, gaining them a lot of enemies, and I'm going to get into those rivals. With that being said, let's get into some cases. Ishmael was working at a once video store called JL Video on Temple Street and Rampart Boulevard. A Temple Street member named Temper will often come in the store to shop and watch videos. When the next thing you know, somebody inside the store came from behind Temper and shot him once in the back of the head, taking his life. Then the shooter then fled the scene. 3 hours after the shooting, 6 men were hanging out on Bray Street and Temple Street's turf. A man then rushed the group with a strap and attempted to rob them. This all led to him taking one of their lives and shooting another. Ishmael and the victim from the robbery were identified as shooter. His name was Gerardo, and he was from Rockwood 13. Police was tuned in to arrest him. While in jail, Gerardo was pinned to numerous other shootings against other rivals, who even snitched to him about the crimes he committed. He would be a part of several crimes against other inmates in jail as well. Numerous of crimes and shootings got Gerardo sentenced to death. Irvin was from Temple Street. Him and his ex-girlfriend Diana just broke up, which they only dated for 2 months. Irvin started simping and being a straight sucker about it. He was mad that she was dating a new dude named O. So around November 2007, Irvin started going around in the hood and telling people he was going to take her life. One day when Irvin was walking around the hood, he seen Diana and O together, and they started kissing. He would plot on taking them out. So on December 2nd, Irvin would go to Diana's friend's house, where she was there, and he would ask Diana did she want to go on a walk with him, and if she did, he offered to buy her food. But only thing is, Diana went with him, but she never returned back. She was later found in the alley with a bullet in her head, hanging on to dear life. She wouldn't survive. Diana's friends would see Irvin hours later in new clothes, and they were asking where Diana was. He told them she was never coming back, and he even got a teardrop tattooed on his face the same day. So it led to Irvin being picked up. He was the last one seen with Diana. She was last seen with him walking near the alley where she died at. Irvin denied everything, but all the evidence pointing towards him, and Irvin was sentenced to 50 years to life. December 16th, 2007. Lester was working as a security guard at Tommy's Burger on West Beverly Boulevard. He seen a group of 4 to 5 men chilling, and one man who was with his girlfriend would get into an altercation with one of the men in the group. This led to the man and his girlfriend leaving. Minutes later, the same man came back firing at the crowd. Lester, the security guard, would say the shooter was smiling as he shot. Xavier would lose his life from the shooting. From the Tommy Burger security system, they had a video which police identified the shooter and his girlfriend as Juan and Nadia from Temple Street. Police watched Nadia's house for a week. Juan was later arrested. From the video, it was determined that the shooting happened because Juan's shoes got stepped on by a member of that group, and he felt disrespected and wanted revenge. Juan threw his whole life away over some dusty ass shoes, and he got life for it. On December 27, 2008, around 4 p.m., Joseph, a tow truck driver, was at the intersection of Beverly Boulevard when he seen a Volvo in front of him raise his window down and fire out a Nissan Altima on the side of both of their cars. The Volvo then sped off. Joseph called the police and gave a description of the car. The Volvo took the police on a high-speed chase. This led to over an hour chase and a 3-person manhunt. The 3 people inside the Volvo were Herson, Ronald, and Richard. The shooting victim's car was shot at over 15 times, and he lost his life. All 3 suspects were from Temple Street. The victim was from 18th Street. Herson, Ronald, and Richard all got 50 to life for the shooting. On December 31st, 2008, Wendy and Amy were going to David's New Year's party. David was from MS-13. Wendy even invited her ex-boyfriend Chris to come to the party as well. Everyone was meeting at Wendy and Amy's house. Chris pulled up with his homie Raphael from Temple Street and 2 other Temple Street members as well. This will lead to Amy telling the Temple Street group and David don't start any issues. But this ain't work out. Seconds later, the Temple Street car pulled up and fired at David over 5 times, taking his life. Raphael was picked up 2 days later, in the same exact car that he used in the shooting. Chris was picked up the next day and denied everything. He said he had nothing to do with the shooting and he was cleared of all charges. Raphael wasn't so lucky. He was charged singly and he received 60 years to life. By 2008 and 2009, the city filed a gang injunction against Temple Street gang to shut them down and limit their activities in the streets, but that wouldn't work, with them still doing what they do and even tagging a police station up to make a statement. In April 2009, Ivan and Juan, both from Temple Street, were working and doing deliveries in a truck. They were driving on West 55th Street when Ivan noticed a rival from BMS driving by in a white car. Moments later, the white car drove by them and yelled out. Ivan stepped on the gas and tried to get away. Juan ducked and 5 shots were fired into the truck. Then the white car sped off. Ivan lost his life. Several stores in the area had cameras and it showed the white car following the truck, and this led to tracking of the car. The suspect wouldn't be caught until 3 months later, and he had the same strap used in the shooting. His name was Jose. He was from BMS. Juan would pick Jose out of a lineup and would say he was the shooter. Jose would deny all claims in the interrogation room, but with witnesses and camera footage, Jose received 75 years to life. Flacco called Ruben over to hang out, but the whole time, it was a setup. Flacco called up Fly from Temple Street to get Ruben. Ruben owed Fly $100 and was ducking Fly, so Fly taught that boy a lesson. Flacco distracted Ruben, and Fly came out of nowhere and shot Ruben in his knee and hit him in the head with the barrel of the strap, knocking him out. Fly then ran through Ruben's pockets and found $200. Fly and Flacco then left the scene. After waking up, Ruben called his friend Juan, who took him to the hospital. At the hospital, Ruben told everything. Fly house was raided, and the police found scales, work, and everything to make it look like he was selling. Fly would receive 120 years for various crimes. November 4th, 2012, Lito, Andreas, and Santos were at church. They were getting ready to serve the congregation when they heard a loud sound, like glass showering outside the church. They all went outside to see what it was. Lito seen Jeanette spray painting on the wall of the church, which was in Temple Street's turf. Lito yelled to Jeanette to stop, but this led to Jeanette beating Lito. He fell to his knees, and Andreas and Santos tried to stop her from beating him. But then a man named Pedro got out of a nearby car and pulled out a strap and fired multiple shots. Santos and Andreas were both shot, and Andreas lost his life. Pedro and Jeanette were both from Rockwood 13 and came to Temple Street Church to tag the walls. Pedro and Jeanette were both picked up easy, with Pedro leaving a drink at the scene with his DNA on it, and Jeanette leaving a spray paint with her DNA on it. Both Pedro and Jeanette received life. December 2nd, 2015. Nadia and Hector had a kid together. He went to her apartment to see his kid, but this led to them getting into an altercation and him leaving. Hector was from Temple Street. On the outside of the apartments, he would get into an altercation with some MS-13 members who outnumbered him. Hector vowed to come back and shoot everybody. Around 15 minutes later, Hector came back appearing from an alley and started firing until his strap jammed. Hector then ran and got in his car and drove away. He only shot a man named Andrew in the foot, which Andrew and a woman named Lauren would later pick him out of a lineup. March 17th, 2016. Police searched Hector's house and they found the weapon he used in the shooting and other weapons as well. Hector told the police he only did the shooting to protect himself and because he was outnumbered, but him coming back to the scene ruined the case for him. Hector received 26 years for the shooting. This will conclude this episode. If you haven't already, make sure you check out my previous episodes. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.